Hello, Pisces. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, Pisces, this looks like a really big area in your life that's getting ready to open up here where it's going to require you to step up and take control. But there's also an underlying message here of you need to be careful about how you proceed on this. So lead the way. Be a leader, show others how it's done, and you can help others, and then you have TikTok. Now, lead the way does talk about how other people may be wanting you to help them solve their problems. But by being a leader, you're showing them how to take care of their own issues. But the underlying message is you have to come from a place of being emotionally grounded. And what was interesting is TikTok has an underlying message of get rid of whatever your agenda is. That whatever it is that you're expecting is not going to happen that way. This being a time card, first of all, you have all the time in the world to create what you desire. There is no rush on anything here. So don't feel like you're having to rush here to take control so that you can have what you desire. No, that's not it. I think that the message is that you have to come from a place of what I want and what I expect has already happened. This talks about how we see things in a linear way. So moment to moment to moment. But the truth is that everything is happening all at once. Past, present, future. So if you go into this going, everything that I want has already happened, then I think it will be easier for you to be emotionally grounded when it comes to things not falling into place right away. Because that's not what's going to happen here. But I also think because this talks about divine timing, that this is an area in your life that you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for this to open up so that you can take the lead on something, to take control, to step up, right? Now, with Moonology, this kind of pushed it home that we need to be practical and realistic about the expectations here. So the full moon in Taurus, your dreams need a practical plan. Now, beyond that, though, it says write down 10 things that you know are wonderful about you. I interpreted that as you need to give yourself a pep talk. So before you take the lead on anything, you need to, get yourself hyped up for this. It also says that laziness could explain your current situation. If so, change that and own it. So you can't be lazy and you can't half-ass anything here. It also says that chasing money doesn't work. You need to chase a dream. Jealousy or envy create negative energy and attract negativity. And then more exercise is called for. I don't even want to hear that shit. Look, Pisces, we just need to be realistic about what you are planning on doing with this area in your life. Where you are coming from, the High Priestess. Because of the Knight of Swords being the past, I think that the High Priestess here is saying that there was some information that came out that you already kind of knew. Though I think that you may have been reading in between the lines, but not really trusting your gut in terms of wanting to act. So instead we're kind of watching a situation here, but I don't see it as a bad thing. So with the Four of Wands being the overall, we're talking about accomplishments, right? But we're also talking about commitment in terms of relationships, building your life with somebody here. But accomplishing something in your life where we have stability now and we get to celebrate it. Right? Four of Wands is beautiful. But because of that 10 of Cups, though, Pisces, and the Chariot, are you moving in with somebody? Maybe. But the Knight of Swords being the past, I feel like this is external to you and your situation. Now, for some of you, absolutely, it could be about direct communication from somebody. But you're not, being too quick to do anything with temperance. You're moving into this place where it's you're needing to be more balanced. But with the Queen of Wands being in your environment, this may be how you are internalizing the situation because of a person. Male, female, could be fire. But if this is somebody you have history with, I think that this is going to be about somebody else coming toward you and wanting to kind of clear the air. But on the other hand, for some of you, I don't know, I'm getting this feeling of it's external to you and your situation. It's almost like having somebody come in like, look, this is the information that I got, and bam, it's like this quick direct message. But you're not being quick to do anything with Temperance. I think that you're wanting to come from a place where you're not letting your passions rule you, which is why we're looking at the Queen of Wands. But we're also talking about, passion being stirred up in you and you wanting to make something happen here. And again, it may be because of a person. The Chariot here, you're talking about actual physical movement, traveling. You may be traveling to see somebody. Some of you may just be traveling here and moving into a different place and rebuilding your life somewhere new. And that may be because with the Ten of Swords being your hopes and fears that things may have ended in a really bad way before and we don't want to see that again. I don't want the situation to go this way. Now, if this has happened with this situation, I think that the Knight of Swords is coming through to kind of clear everything up. Being quick, being direct, being honest. But being hasty is not something that you are doing in the present moment. But the thing is with the Chariot, boom, we're off to the races again. And I do think that for some of you, new energy is being brought to this situation. For a lot of you, I do think that maybe it does have to do with a relationship here. Because I'm looking at that Ten of Cups and the Four of Wands and going, oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you are looking at making a big move in your life right now, if it doesn't have to do with a relationship, it is going to bring you a lot of happiness. A lot of happiness, Pisces. This looks beautiful. But I think that you're coming from a much better place here with Temperance and the Queen of Wands. But I do believe that it has to do with a person. Male, female, fire, right? But I do like the Sun, because the Sun is, beyond seeing everything clearly or seeing the reality of a situation. It is a happy time. For some of you, absolutely could have to do with family here. But I think that what is being cleared up is why things ended in a very difficult way. And I think that if you are rebuilding things here, so to speak, especially with the Four of Wands, again, I kind of go back to this and think we don't want to go back to this place where we're having to deal with things ending in a really bad way. But that's not what's happening, though. But I think that that's why there's a part of you that is not so quick to act. Which is why we're not like looking at the Knight of Wands. And even if you were hasty about a situation in the past, you're coming from a much better place here. But some of you, look at it, right? Moving in with somebody. Are you getting married, right? Are you strengthening your relationship? Are you and your partner moving somewhere else? For some of you, it could have to do with like traveling for work, things like that. That or you're going out of your way to reconnect with somebody and start rebuilding things with this Four of Wands. But all of it looks really good, Pisces, other than that Ten of Swords. Why has it got to be so heavy, man? Your assessment on the situation is changing and you're making peace with the past. And I believe that that Ten of Swords has something to do with the past because it's being cleared up with that Knight of Swords. But this is such a big move in your life that I think that some of you are worried that it's going to end in a really bad way because you may have already been there before. Now, with the Eight of Pentacles, we're talking about busting your ass, putting in a lot of hard work, a lot of effort here. I think that this communication that kind of comes through with this Knight of Swords, I think that it's showing you that the hard work and the effort is going to be worth it. It's worth your time. It's worth your investment here. Now, the reason, though, why I think that you're kind of like simmering down here, so to speak, with Temperance is because, yeah, there is, the communication again with the Page of Cups, the offer of love possibly here. But if it's about your own emotions, you're coming from a place where everything is like, you may feel like you're naive to feel this way, which is why with Temperance, you're like, wait a minute here, right? I don't want to get too carried away with this, but it makes you feel good with the Queen of Wands, or somebody is making you feel good based on what they're communicating to you. Now, with Judgment here and looking at the Chariot, I think that this is a major, major, like, life change for you, where you're needing to, you know, go through and review everything again, but make peace with the past and what may have happened before, and understand that this is like the higher calling here, right? And making that kind of assessment that, you know, makes you realize that you're moving into a place where you're going to be happy. A lot of people don't get to see that. But then I kind of go back to the High Priestess, and I don't know, for some of you, I do think that this is like outside information that is coming to you. You may have been like kind of like waiting and watching a situation, though I think intuitively you knew what was going on. And it may have been like one of those things that you looked at like, well, maybe this was like too much work. It was just too much effort. But it is worth it this time, especially with where you're coming out at. Now, for some of you, this is just about work here. You know, you may be like having your emotions restored in something that you think is worth your time and effort. That is going to bring you a lot of happiness here. And you're going to have to make a huge judgment call on your life to rebuild your life somewhere else, possibly with that Chariot. But either way, Pisces, I wouldn't worry about things coming to a really difficult end. Now, on the other hand, you may be fearing having to end a situation somewhere else so that you can begin your happiness. You know, it's not exactly something that we want to do. But everything here looks like you're going straight, just head on toward absolute happiness. And I feel like I want to tell you, don't worry, you made the right call here. You did the right thing. Even if something has to end in a really difficult way, you're going to have to make peace with that, because this is a big thing for you in your life, right? And that may be where this like leadership position is coming through. You may have to take the lead and end something in your life in a way that is not going to be easy, but that is the only way that you're going to get to this overall happiness. But that's because these things are being restored, though. And there's a want to try to build something here. You know, and again, it's either rebuilding your life or rebuilding a relationship. But everything looks really good. But being realistic about what has to be done, that may be it. That may be it. But that's such a heavy thing that, you know, I think that you as Temperance in the present moment makes sense. But there's also that feeling of you may be waiting on somebody to do this because they know they need to, before things can move forward in a way where it creates this overall like happy situation. But everything here is indicating, Pisces, that I think that you're making the right assessment here. That it's okay to feel the way that you do, or to have feelings being restored. Now, again, for some of you, this is going to have to do with somebody where there has been a painful ending, but we're rebuilding things here. And with the Chariot, everything is back on track, seriously. Strong momentum forward here. Nothing is holding you back with this. And then reconnect with Spirit. You know, and I kind of feel like that with Judgment a little bit too. Like, it's okay, Pisces, you're making the right call here. So something is emerging here in this situation within you, but it's going to require a lot of wisdom when moving forward, and you are going to have to reconnect with Spirit. Always good advice. But by reconnecting with Spirit, it's going to strengthen, you know, the wisdom that you're using here moving forward with this. Right, but it's because of a situation that I think is emerging for you, and it kind of goes back to, you know, the Oracle cards and this feeling of divine timing is finally working out. You know, but wisdom is going to be called for. But I think that that requires something very difficult. And then you have, speaking of gifts, express love through gifts. Giving a small token to someone expresses your love to them. So it may be that for some of you, you need to express the way that you feel to somebody in order for things to get on track in a really big way here. And even if something is coming to an end, there is the miracles and blessings that are right behind that in a really big way here with that Ten of Cups. You guys look like you're going to be very happy with the choices that you make and where you are moving to or where you're going here with the Chariot. But I would say, Pisces, that you look a lot better than most. But be careful about the expectations and how you move forward on this, and be realistic about what you expect to have happen. But, as long as you're coming from that place, you're willing to put in the effort here, or if somebody else is willing to do this, I think that you're going to be very happy. Career or relationship here.